I'm not gonna lie though, bro. In a decade where they averaged 96 points per game, Kobe was averaging 28 and a half? God damn! That's crazy, Cole. Groovy tapping in. Hold up. Is this junk on? Okay, it's on. Say less. Groovy tapping in, man. Welcome back to another vid. The true king of the NBA's most difficult era. All right. Hey, man, before we hop into it, man, like the video. Comment down below any videos y'all want Young Groovy to react to next. And last but not least, subscribe to the channel if you're new, man. Let's hop straight into it.
In December of 1891, James Naismith hung a peach basket at the International Young Men's Christian Association Training School in Springfield, Massachusetts. And in the roughly 130 years that would follow, the sport of basketball has grown into a fixture on the global sporting stage, with its highest peak reaching in America's National Basketball Association, the place where now countless millions of aspiring athletes from every continent on this planet dream to one day add their chapter in the book of legends.
That's dope, bro.
To etch their bust
Basketball is
amongst
a
the
beautiful
other
game,
immortals that have ruled
Shout out
this
to
sport.
Naismith, man.
But the sport itself, the style, the pace, and its rules have changed drastically through the years since Dr. Naismith first hung that peach basket. While the NBA reaches back as early as the 1940s, the modern era began in 1976 when the ABA and the NBA merged to form the current league as we know it. There have been various other rules changes along the way that have shaped the style of basketball being played today in the National Basketball Association, an era of which is commonly believed to be the best, most difficult time to play professional basketball at the highest level. An era which has ignorant stooges on every corner of the internet, all the way up to prominent basketball analysts lamenting the superiority of today's game, while diminishing other eras and relegating pass grades to the likes of plumbers.
Oh, well, you know, he was being guarded by plumbers and firemen.
But which era actually was
Disrespectful,
the
JJ.
most difficult? When you look at the young decade that we currently reside in of the 2020s, it's actually trending to be one of the easiest decades to play in all of league history.
Okay.
One of the most wide open,
Easiest?
offensively, statistically inflated eras ever. And
Travel.
that dates back all the way into the 1960s, which was the most fast-paced, highest scoring decade we have ever seen, with nightly scoring averages swelling into the mid-one teens. From the decade of 1960 to 1969, averages were 115 points per game. This era famously produced Wilt Chamberlain and his gaudy scoring explosion,
100 points?
which
That's
reached
crazy.
a peak
That's
in
still crazy to me.
1962 when he averaged 50 points per game for an entire season. The rapid pace of play and meteoric nightly scoring averages lead many to question the validity of or outright dismiss many of the accomplishments that era produced. Yet, those similar questions are never raised about today's NBA, where nightly scoring reached nearly 115 points per game in the most recent 2022-2023 season. And many things pertaining to sports debates, theories, and takes are generally actually just people's individual preferences. It is fundamentally impossible to unequivocally determine opinion-based topics like what era had the most physically imposing or athletically gifted players in it. That's why commentary about plumber eras or anything else based on someone's eye test is undeniably insane and galactically stupid.
Galactically stupid!
While your eyes lie, numbers and their context seldom do. and we are smack dab in the heart of the easiest era to play in and stack statistics in since that 1960s decade. And in the 1970s, scoring would start its decade-long descent, down from 115 points per game in the 60s to just 108 points in the 70s.
Defense
but
started
in
getting
1979,
intense.
the course of NBA history would forever be changed when the three-point line was added in. Scoring would see a slight uptick through the 1980s, jumping up a point per game for that decade up to 109.3 per night. Once we hit the 90s, however, the style of basketball would change. The league would shift to a much slower paced, lower scoring, and defensively oriented game. For the decade, scoring averages dropped to just 101.3 points per game, despite average nightly
defense
scoring
started to get
plummeting
real intense in the 90s
per game from the previous decade. Michael Jordan was still able to average 30 points per game and win a championship in literally every single year he started and played a full season throughout the decade.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. In a decade where they only averaged 101 points, MJ averaged over 30 points per game. That's crazy, dog. That's why he'll forever be the GOAT, bro. That's crazy. In a tough era where it was hard to score, bro. Hand checking. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, the rules was different back then, bro. And the fact that he put up that many buckets per game. MJ cold.
As a response to dwindling scoring amid the ferocious defensive trends of the 90s, the NBA would implement a number of rules changes. Most notably, hand checking was outlawed officially in 2004, and illegal zoning rules were abolished in 2001. Despite the NBA taking measures to try to promote a more offensive game, in the decade of 2000 to 2010, scoring dropped precipitously, down to 96.9 points per game on average.
For real?
Which is easily, by far and away, the lowest scoring decade in modern NBA history. Not only were points per game at its lowest, nightly possessions and pace of play were drastically less than in any other decade.
I'm gonna be honest, in the comments down below, what would y'all rather see? The NBA pushing more so the offensive side of basketball or the defensive side of basketball? Y'all let me know, man. To be honest, bro, I want to see some more defense, bro. Although I do like seeing players shoot threes, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if we'll ever get that mixture, though, as far as, like, great defense being played and then we getting the three ball too as well. I don't know. Maybe we need to cut down on the threes. You know what I'm saying? Allow more hand checking, maybe. I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comments down below, man. How y'all want the NBA to be played, bro?
Assists per game were the lowest ever. Field goal percentage was also at an all-time low. This was the dead ball era of NBA basketball, and yet it produced one of the most offensively dominant players in NBA history. During this decade, Kobe Bryant led every player in total points scored with 21,550. To put that number in context, look no further than the NBA's all-time scoring king, LeBron James, who won his first league MVP in 2008-2009 season at the age of 24. Over the course of the decade that would follow, James's absolute prime 10 years, he scored 20,349 total points, well over 1,000 fewer points than Bryant scored during the decade of the 2000s. Kobe would also lead this decade in points per game, averaging 28.5 for the decade.
That's tough, bro.
That included LeBron James and Dwayne Wade for 7 years, Allen Iverson and Shaquille O'Neal for the entire 10-year span, and a young Kevin Durant.
Damn.
And again, speaking of LeBron and looking at his best 10-year span of time, he averaged 27.2 points per game, or over a full point fewer than Bryant did during the 2000s. And one of the major knocks on Kobe as a scorer, a point for which he is routinely diminished, is for his perceived lack of efficiency. But that perception is a product of the era and time in which Bryant was unfortunate enough to play in.
Defense.
Again, we are talking about a decade of prime for Bryant. that had league-wide scoring averages of 96.9.
They played
per
great
game,
defense.
nearly 20 points per game fewer than the most recent season.
I'm not gonna lie though, bro. In a decade where they averaged 96 points per game, Kobe was averaging 28 and a half? God!
Damn!
That's crazy, Cole. I ain't gonna lie, Cole, man. Respect, bro. That's tough, bro. That's tough to score that many points in the era where they played great defense, bro. Salute.
Kobe shot 45.6% from the field over this span of
And that's
time,
not that
while
bad.
League
That's
averages during this decade was just 44.9%. Average effective field goal percentage during that 10-year span for the league was 48.6, and Bryant had an effective field goal percentage of 48.9 over that time.
Okay.
Kobe actually exhibited above average efficiency in the era that he played in. During this decade span from 2000 to 2010, Bryant made 8 All-NBA first teams, 1 second team, and 1 third team. And speaking of this being the greatest defensive era in history, Kobe made 7 All-NBA defensive first teams, and 2 second teams during this decade. He would also win 4 of his 5 career NBA championships in this 10-year span. While
hey, he's doing all of this in an era where they average 96 points per game. That's tough, bro. In the era where they actually was clamping up, locking up, sliding their feet, spreading their arms. You know what I'm saying? He's doing all of this during that time, bro. Salute, bro.
appearing in 6 of the 10 finals. Kobe Bryant dominated this era like no other player, and like few other players ever have in any of the other eras in NBA history. During the decade that would follow, from 2010 to 2020, scoring would steadily increase and jump about 5 points per game higher on average to just over 102 points per game, as the rules changes that were implemented in the early 2000s finally started to yield the league the offensive fruits they were looking for. And in the first 3 years thus far of the 2020s, we have swelled all the way to over 112 points per game, as pace, court spacing, and primarily three-point shooting are at all-time historic rates. It makes sense that as we get further away from certain eras in history, they become less memorable, and perhaps we get to a point where large portions of a fan base weren't even alive to experience it in the first place. But in this current generation, we have become more prisoners of the moment than ever before, indicative of a petulant feeling of superiority, that everything you are experiencing or seeing now must be the biggest, best, and greatest ever. But despite whatever your lying eyes might tell you, Kobe Bryant dominated an era of basketball without equal, and he represents one of the very few on a list of players who were the greatest to ever do it. And chances are his name is on a list even shorter than you care to admit.
That's crazy. Hey, man, that was a great video right there, man. The true king of the NBA's most difficult era. Shout out to Kobe Bryant, man. In his era, I did not know, man, they was locking up like that. And the fact that he was averaging 28 and a half, that's super tough, bro. That's like MJ, like. You feel what I'm saying, man? And no wonder people compare their games, you feel me? But this was a dope video to see, man. In the comments down below, man, how would y'all like to see the game played, man? Y'all want to see more defense or y'all want to see more offense? I slick want to see a combination of both. I really do want to see more defense, though. I like seeing players get locked up. I also like seeing players hustling on the floor, man. Teams just collectively just locking up their opponents, man, and just, you know, just competing at a high level rather than just giving them free buckets. You feel what I'm saying? I would say the 3-ball has gotten out of control. You know, you got players that don't even know how to shoot threes, just chucking up 5, 6, 7 threes a game. It's bad. Y'all let me know in the comments how y'all feel about this video. Shout out to Code, man. I did not know this, though, bro. I did not know this, bro. Shout out to Scrap Attack for the vid. This is dope to hear, man. This is dope to see, man. I got to watch some more Kobe videos, man. Y'all send me some more Kobe videos in the comments down below. Damn, I'm slowly starting to become a Kobe fan, man. Come on, man. Like, oh my God, Kobe. But nah, man, this was a dope video right here, man. I learned a lot in this video, man. If y'all like the reaction, hit the like button. Comment down below any videos y'all want me to check out next. And last but not least, subscribe to the channel if you new. And Groovy signing out. I'm going to catch y'all in the next vid.